The Lockheed L-100 Hercules is the civilian variant of the prolific L-130 military transport aircraft made by the Lockheed Corporation. Its first flight occurred in 1964. Longer L-100, L-20 and L-100, L-30 versions were developed. L-100 production ended in 1992 with 114 aircraft delivered. The L-100J is set to start production in 2018 to 2019. It is an updated variant of the L-100. Development: in 1959, Pan American World Airways ordered 12 of Lockheed's L-207 Super Hercules to be delivered by 1962, to be powered by four 6,000 ESHP Allison T-61 turboprops. The Super Hercules was to be 23 feet 4 in longer than the L-130B. A variant powered by 6,445 Rolls-Royce Tynes and a jet-powered variant with 4 Pratt & Whitney JT3-11 turbofans were also under development. Both Pan American and Slick Airways cancelled their orders and the other variants did not evolve past design studies. Lockheed decided to produce a commercial variant based on a demilitarized version of the L-130E Hercules. The prototype L-100 first flew on April 20, 1964 when it carried out a 1-hour, 25-minute flight. The type certificate was awarded on February 16, 1965. 21 production aircraft were then built with the first delivery to Continental Air Services on September 30, 1965. Slow sales led to the development of two new, longer versions, the L-100, L-20 and L-100, L-30, both of which were larger and more economical than the original model. Deliveries totaled 114 aircraft, with production ending in 1992. Several L-100-20 aircraft were operated on scheduled freight flights by Delta Air Lines between 1968 and 1973. An updated civilian version of the Lockheed Martin C-130 Jamaican Euros 30 Super Hercules was under development, but the program was placed on hold indefinitely in 2000 to focus on military development and production. On February 3, 2014, Lockheed Martin formally relaunched the L-100J program, saying it expects to sell 75 aircraft. Lockheed sees the new L-100J as an ideal replacement for the existing civil L-100 fleets. Variants: civilian variants are equivalent to the L-130E model without pylon tanks or military equipment. L-100, one prototype powered by 4 Allison 501 a Euro D-22S and first flown in 1964, L-100, production variant, L-100 a Euro 20. Stretched variant certified in 1968 with a new 5 feet section forward of the wing and 3 feet 4 in section aft of the wing. L-100 a Euro 30, a further stretched variant with an additional 6 feet 8 in fuselage section. LMA Euro 100J, an updated civilian version of the military C-130J model. Operators Civilian operators In July 2009 a total of 36 Lockheed L-100 Hercules aircraft were in commercial service. Operators include Safar, Linden Air Cargo, Transafric, Libyan Arab Air Cargo, First Air, and other operators with single aircraft. Military operators In January 2009, 35 Lockheed L-100s were in use with military operators, including Indonesian Air Force, Libyan Air Force, Algerian Air Force, Ecuadorian Air Force, Kuwait Air Force, Peruvian Air Force, Philippine Air Force, Royal Saudi Air Force, other users with fewer aircraft. Gabon Air Force, United Arab Emirates Air Force, Argentine Air Force, Free Libyan Air Force. Accidents and incidents On April 11, 1968, a Zambian air cargo L-100-10 was destroyed in a ground collision with another L-100 at Ndola, when returning from Dar es Salaam due to a brake failure. On April 30, 1968, a Pakistan Air Force L-100-20 crashed into a mountain in Pakistan. All 10 aboard perished. On May 18, 1968, and or copyright Riarova as Ecuatoriana's L-100-20 burned after a propeller struck the ground while taxiing in Macuma, Ecuador. There were no fatalities. On July 16, 1969, a Pacific Western Airlines L-100-20 crashed in Cayama, Peru, after a wing hit the ground during go-around in fog. On November 21, 1976, a Pacific Western Airlines L-100-20 crashed in Eastville, Kisangani, Zaire, low fuel, emergency landing in fog at airfield for night and lights off on arrival, not enough fuel to return, let down in jungle, one survivor. On February 19, 1978, a Peruvian Air Force L-100-20 crashed when engines shut down during takeoff in Tarapoto, Peru. On May 15, 1979, a TAAG Angola Airlines L-100-20 damaged when it overshot landing in Sao Paulo, Toma copyright and was written off. On September 5, 1980, a Kuwait Air Force L-100-20 crashed near Montélimar in southeastern France due to a lightning strike. On April 24, 1981, a Peruvian Air Force L-100-20 had an emergency landing at night, no fuel, near San Juan, Peru. On May 16, 1981, an Angola Air Charter L-100-20 was shot down by an infrared missile near Manong, the provincial center of the Cuando-Cubango province, Angola. The cause of the crash was similar to that of the Aeroflot Antonov 12 4 years later. On June 9, 1983, a Peruvian Air Force L-100-20 crashed in Puerto Maldonado near southern Peru. On June 8, 1986, an Angola Air Charter L-100-20 wheels up landing in Dondo, Angola and was written off. On October 14, 1987, a Zimx Aviation L-100-30 was shot down after takeoff in Quito, Angola. On April 9, 1989, a Transafrica L-100-20 had a crash landing at Luena, Moxico Province, Angola due to a fire in two engines. On August 1, 1989, an Air Alga copyright Lockheed L-100-30 was damaged when it skidded off the runway while making an emergency landing in Tamanrasset, Algeria and was written off. On January 5, 1990, an Angola Air Charter L-100-20 was hit by an anti-aircraft missile, stalled and crash-landed in Mononque, Angola and was written off. On February 27, 1991, a Kuwait Air Force L-100-30 was hit by a bomb, the center fuselage was badly damaged. Transported by road to Kuwait and scrapped in March 1995. On March 16, 1991, an L-100-30 leased to Transafric was shot down by the UNITAF IM-92 Stinger missile in Malanje, Angola. On September 17, 1991, an Ethiopian Airlines L-100-30 crashed into a mountain near Array in the south of Djibouti. On April 7, 1994, a TAAG Angola Airlines L-100-20 was damaged beyond repair by fire after landing at Malanje, Angola and overheated its brakes. On September 23, 1994, a heavy-lift cargo service L-100-30 leased from Palita Air Service, crashed off Kai Tak International Airport in Hong Kong after the No. 4 propeller oversped, killing 6 of the 12 on board. On December 26, 1998, a Transafrica L-100-30, was shot down by UNITA after takeoff from Hambo, Angola on an UN mission. On January 2, 1999, a Transafrica L-100-30 and operating for the United Nations was shot down by UNITA after takeoff from Hambo, Angola. On December 27, 1999, a Transafrica L-100-30 ran off a wet runway on landing in Luzumba, Angola. It went into a 40-foot ravine and was written off. On December 20, 2001, an Indonesian Air Force L-100-30 was written off during landing in Malakal Seri when it ran off the runway. On August 13, 2006, Air Alga copyright Flight 2208, a Lockheed L-100-30 Hercules cargo flight crashed in northern Italy as a result of an autopilot malfunction. the aircraft struck the ground in a sparsely populated area after a very steep and rapid descent, narrowly avoiding crashing into a highly populated zone. All 3 crew members were killed. On August 25, 2008, a Philippine Air Force L-100-20 of 220th Airlift Wing based in Mactan, Cebu, crashed into the sea shortly after takeoff in Davao City in the Philippines. The aircraft had lost contact after taking off from Francisco Bangoy International Airport shortly before midnight. The cause of the crash was unknown. 2 pilots, 7 crewmen, which consists of an instructor flight engineer, student flight engineer, a crew chief, 2 load masters, 1 student load master and a flight mechanic, and 2 scout rangers were on board when it crashed. Until now, the authorities are still puzzled by the plane's mysterious crash. On May 20, 2009, an Indonesian Air Force L-100-30 of 31st Squadron was carrying soldiers and their families when it crashed into homes and erupted in flames, killing at least 98 people. The burning wreckage of the Hercules was scattered in a rice paddy near Magetan, East Java, about 160 kilometers east of Yogyakarta. The plane was carrying more than 100 passengers and crew as it was flying from Jakarta to the eastern province of Papua via Magetan. On October 12, 2010, a Trans-Africa L-100-20 and operating Flight 662 when it crashed into a mountain near Polichaki on a flight from Bagram Air Base to Kabul International Airport, Afghanistan, killing all 8 crew. Specifications. Data from International Directory of Civil Aircraft, Complete Encyclopedia of World Aircraft, General Characteristics, Crew, 3 to 4, Payload 51,050 pounds, Length, 112 feet 9 inches, Wingspan, 132 feet 7 in, Height, 38 feet 3 in, Wing Area, 1,745 FTA squared, Empty weight, 77,740 pounds, Max takeoff weight, 155,000 pounds, Power plant, 4A, Allison 501 a Euro D22A turboprops, 4,510 shp each, Performance, maximum speed 308 knots, at 20,000 feet, cruise speed, 292 kn, range, 1,334 mi, ferry range, 4,813 mi, service ceiling, 23,000 feet, rate of climb, 1,830 feet per minute. See also, related development, C-130 Hercules, C-130J Super Hercules, ACA Euro 130 Spectre Spooky, Lockheed DC-130, Lockheed EC-130, Lockheed HC-130, Lockheed LC-130, Lockheed MC-130, Lockheed WC-130, aircraft of comparable role, configuration and era, Antonov 10, Blackburn Beverly, Cheongsi Y-8, Transall C-160, Short Belfast. References, Notes. Bibliography. External links, Lockheed La Euro 100 Hercules. Airliners.net, Lockheed La Euro 100 Hercules specifications in comparison to other air cargo aircraft.